Hello and welcome to Game of Box Office. Today we will present you a prediction on Captain America's Civil War. Let's get to it. After we predicted Batman vs Superman just a week ago, which has a realistic shot at the box office crown this year, we are following up with the next contender for the number 1 spot this year. As we already mentioned in our analysis on Guardians of the Galaxy, Marvel has a unique standing in the industry right now. They can release pretty much whatever they want and it turns into a financial success for them. When we take a look at the 5 biggest releases from the Avengers Cinematic Universe, we have the first Avengers and Avengers Age of Ultron with $1.5 and $1.4 billion, followed by Iron Man 3, Guardians of the Galaxy and The Last Captain America the Winter Soldier with $1.2 billion, $773 million and $714 million. In our opinion, to have a realistic shot at the number 1 spot this year, Civil War has to gross at least $1.2 billion worldwide. More would be clearly better. So how are the chances for this to happen? Of course, Civil War is the 3rd installment in the Captain America film series, but since the movie also includes Iron Man, Black Widow, Hawkeye, Falcon, War Machine, Scarlet Witch, the Winter Soldier and Ant-Man, most audiences are looking forward to it like it is the Avengers Part 3. The huge presence of Iron Man in Civil War helps the movie's gross immensely, since Iron Man is by far the most successful single superhero out of the Avengers universe at the box office. On top of that, the character of Black Panther will be first introduced in Civil War, and the very new Spider-Man played by Tom Holland will also have its Avengers universe debut in Civil War. So as far as we talk about the cast, Civil War has probably the best situation it could have. Another great point for Civil War is that Anthony Russo and Joe Russo are returning to the director's chair for Civil War. They were the directors behind the last Captain America film, Captain America the Winter Soldier, and that movie was from audiences and critics alike maybe the most acclaimed work out of the Avengers universe until now, and the comic book series which Civil War is based on is also one of the most loved ones. Some industry experts also say that the hype around Captain America Civil War actually exceeded the hype for the Avengers Part 2 Age of Ultron, and will because of that bring Civil War into Everest heights box office wise. The two things that really don't work in favor for Civil War is that the Avengers Age of Ultron was not so liked by fans and it received far more bad reviews than the first Avengers installment, and since the hype around Civil War is partly made because it's kind of the Avengers 3, this will hurt the movie a bit. Also, in comparison to Batman vs Superman, Captain America Civil War has some competition after its release that can't be overlooked, with X-Men Apocalypse being released 3 weeks after Civil War, and Warcraft as well as Now You See Me 2 released 5 weeks after Civil War. Alright, let's get to it. As always, let's start with our pessimistic prediction. Let's think just for a moment about the situation what happens when Civil War opens to poor reviews and does not match the quality of the Winter Soldier. In that situation, we see Captain America Civil War at $350 million in the domestic market and at $650 million overseas, for a combined worldwide total of $1 billion. In this situation, it will likely perform like a Captain America single movie that would have opened to rave reviews. The opening weekend will be huge, something around $155 million in our opinion, because the movie is riding such a huge hype right now. The last Captain America closed its run with a 2.73 multiplier. The last Iron Man closed its run with a 2.34 multiplier. When Captain America Civil War opens to $155 million and finish its run with $350 million, it will land on a multiplier of 2.25, under the multiplier of Iron Man 3, which opened to good but not great reviews, and way under the multiplier of the Winter Soldier. The big overseas numbers do we expect because of the hugely grown audience that are attracted to the Avengers Universe films. The last 2 Avengers movies and Iron Man 3 grossed all something between $800 and $900 million overseas, so a big bump from the $454 million overseas from the Winter Soldier can absolutely be expected. In that situation, the movie will still gross a big amount of cash for Disney. Just like with Batman vs Superman, there's basically no situation in where this movie will not be a financial success. And this $1 billion pessimistic prediction is lowballing the movie's potential by a long way. For Civil War to finish around that amount of money, it has to get something like a 50 to 60% rating on Rotten Tomatoes and Metacritic, and a huge part of the fanbase have to be upset with how Marvel handled the adaptation, and in our opinion that's highly unlikely to happen, since the Russo brothers proved their directing skills with The Winter Soldier, and Disney knows exactly what kind of a box office juggernaut they have in their hands with Civil War. Let's move on to our realistic prediction. We see Civil War at $410 million domestically and at $720 million overseas, for a combined worldwide total of $1.13 billion. What needs to happen for this situation? The movie has to open to good reviews just like Iron Man 3 did, and we think that's pretty realistic to think. Something around the high 70% ratings on Rotten Tomatoes and something in the high 60% ratings on Metacritic. The competition of X-Men Apocalypse will hurt the movie still a bit in this scenario, but not by much. With this gross, Civil War would conquer Iron Man 3's domestic gross and would be the highest grossing Avengers Universe movie outside of the Avengers movies itself, and just second worldwide outside of the Avengers movies behind Iron Man 3. With this, Civil War would already be a marvelous success for Disney. But let's now take a look at what Civil War can gross when it does everything perfect. Well, what is the ceiling in such a situation? As a limit for Civil War, we have to work with the two Avengers grosses from the Avengers and the Avengers Age of Ultron, since we don't think that the Avengers is in any trouble of losing the Avengers Universe crown to the third Captain America. Civil War will probably come close to Age of Ultron's worldwide gross and will most likely overcome the domestic total of Age of Ultron, when everything works just perfect. In this situation, we think of a $490 million domestic total and a $850 million overseas total, for a combined worldwide total of $1.34 billion. With that, it will fall short from Age of Ultron's worldwide total by just $65 million, and it will defeat the worldwide Iron Man 3 gross by $125 million. For that to happen, Civil War has to turn out to be just on the same level as the Avengers was. So, in our opinion, it is ridiculous to think that Civil War could make a run for the Avengers, but the movie will be insanely big when everything works well. Since we released a prediction on Batman vs Superman just a week ago, we want to give the final input right now which movie we see ahead at the end of this year. Of course, it will be an extremely close race. We have Civil War slightly ahead of Batman vs Superman in every scenario, so in our opinion, when the quality of Batman vs Superman is equal to the quality of Civil War will win. When the quality of Civil War is worse than the quality of Batman vs Superman will win. It's such a close call that we really don't want to point to any winner, but we personally think that Civil War will have the upper hand in the worldwide and overseas market, while Batman vs Superman will probably beat Civil War on the domestic market. But don't get us wrong here, we are just talking about which movie will be ahead. To predict the winner of 2016, there are still 2 to 3 movies left to predict. Our upcoming video will be an analysis about Godzilla or a prediction about Finding Dory or Star Wars Rogue One. We hope you enjoyed this analysis. Be sure to hit a like and subscribe to our channel. You can also support us on the social networks listed below. See you soon. Bye bye.